What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another sort of episode on the Book Binge. I'm just here at the beginning of this video to kind of preface what you're about to see with the bookshelf tour. I have not done one of these up to this point, so forgive me for any lapses in quality to any extent. What is going to happen in this video is you are going to see a few reels of me using my phone to record all of the shelves, both behind me as well as a few others surrounding my bedroom here at the moment. I will go ahead and warn you ahead of time that because I used a ring light around my phone while recording, plenty of the spines of plenty of the books reflect a little bit of the light of that a bit, but you will be able to see all of the books just fine. I just figured using the ring light would work a little bit better because the lighting in this room is terrible, and just using the phone itself wouldn't have looked very good. So I decided to use that ring light, and like I said, it reflects off of some of the spines of the books. Otherwise, I don't think I really have much else to say. I just kind of want to show you guys what all the books I have in this very small bedroom of mine. And it is just going to be a little bit of a voiceover. So, yeah, let's go ahead and show you my shelves. Welcome to the book haul. We are going to start off here looking at my very top shelf. In fact, it's not even the top shelf, it is the top of the shelf. Starting off with 11 Thumbs, a somewhat middle grade series that I started reading back in junior high school. Never actually finished that third book there, which is the one that's kind of showing off. This is a series that I too plan to go back to at some point because I remember some of the off the wall ideas in the series being very fun. Next up, we have The Children of Gods and Fighting Men, the first book in a trilogy by Shauna Lawless that I'm very excited to be able to read here in a year or year and a half or so when the final book has released, since they are all going to be releasing rather regularly. I'm excited for that just because of premise, and then, of course, the book that needs no introduction being Dune by Frank Herbert. Next up, we have my box set of Homer, translated by Peter Green. I thought that these translations were fantastic, and I absolutely loved both the Iliad and the Odyssey. I think that everybody should give them a shot. Of course, we have The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings in my mass market beat up editions, and then some mass market editions of the Outlander series, a series that Allie, I'm sure, is very desperate for me to start as soon as possible, but we'll see. Then, of course, on my very top shelf up here, I have the Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan. You see a lot of that ring light reflecting. My apologies for that yet again. This is a series that I always was in love with to some certain extent because of the covers, the cover art. I know the art isn't super popular amongst people for some reason, but I absolutely love them anyway. And apologies for the dust on that shelf as well. I would have swore I went back before recording this video and dusted all of the shelves, but realized I forgot to dust that one single shelf, so my apologies for that. On the shelf below, you'll see all of my stuffed animals that have made appearances in the last several videos, if not most of them, that people demand to keep. You'll see my second editions of The Lord of the Rings, my second set of The Lord of the Rings and the Wheel of Time Companion, and then my third and fourth set of The Lord of the Rings, as well as my second set of The Hobbit, alongside a similarly matching Silmarillion, and then all of my Brandon Sanderson leather bound. So this shelf is packed with heavy hitters, particularly expensive. And then we have my shelf dedicated to the man, myth, and legend, Christopher Ruocchio. I'm in love with Sun Eater, think that everybody should read it, and I'm more than happy to have a matching set of the hardcovers as well as signed and numbered editions, all with matching numbers for all of the UK hardcovers, including the Anderida special editions of the novellas and short stories. Next up, we have a little bit more sci-fi, but a different type of sci-fi, my shelf dedicated to mostly just Michael Crichton, all of my hardcovers of him that I've read a couple of and enjoyed and really want to read more of. And then following the Michael Crichton, my short collection of Orson Scott Card's Ender's Game series. Next up, we have the shelf, which features a few of my gaming controllers, but we start off from left to right with many of my Penguin Classics Deluxe editions, and a whole wide variety of books ranging from Hugo to Fitzgerald to Dumas to, even postmodern crap like Thomas Pynchon. And then, of course, you also have In Search of Lost Time by Marcel Proust there as well. Then we move over to my Riordan shelf, a little bit different, but I love this shelf. Thank you to Reen for that gift of the hardcovers of Percy Jackson alongside my older paperbacks. And then, of course, a few paperbacks of Heroes of Olympus. And then my very first edition, uh, they are legitimate day one release first editions of all of the Magnus Chase books and the Blood of Olympus, which the Blood of Olympus especially I prize a lot for whatever nostalgia reason, and then hardcovers of Kane Chronicles and Trials of Apollo as well. Finally, on this bottom shelf, we have a bunch of Michael J. Sullivan with Legends of the First Empire and Raya Revelations, which I plan to read someday. Then Nevernight Chronicle by J. Kristoff. Then The Witcher, which is a somewhat more polarizing series, but one that I am looking forward to. And I really like this artwork, specifically for some reason. Then one of my favorite series of all time being the Underland Chronicles. I absolutely adore those books. I do plan to do a reread of them soon, if I have not already done them already by the time this video releases. I have no idea when this video comes out, actually. So, and then of course a bit of Anne McCaffrey, which I have not read yet, but I would like to start with these first two Pern trilogies. And then we come to the very last shelf over here with a few of my physical game discs and cartridges and whatnot. And then whatever this is called, The Five Warrior Angels by Durfee, Vampire Academy, which I do think is actually quite good, and then Harry Potter, which I would love to read someday. And that ends this beginning section of the first couple shelves. Over on this shelf on the opposite side of the room, I have my very small dedication at the moment to Stephen King with The Dark Tower, a series that I absolutely loved, and a couple standalones that I have loved up to this point, Carrie, Salem's Lot, and The Shining, then a couple more that I have yet to read, including the Bachman books, which I'm very happy to have, containing Rage, which I think is underrated, and The Long Walk, which is incredible. On this shelf here is a sort of strange assortment of stuff, just a bunch of miscellaneous things kind of thrown together. You have the matching, well, not matching, but you have these somewhat similar mythologies over on the left, and a few Stephen Graham Jones books over next to them. And then, of course, Department 19, which is one that doesn't necessarily fit on the shelf, but doesn't fit anywhere else in my collection either. I just kind of have it here because reasons. And then, of course, the start of the Asian Saga, which I'm beginning to collect. These editions by Blackstone Publishing, I believe it is, are just beautiful. Down on the shelf below, we have a little bit of my religious texts, so to speak, with the Bible, and then the LDS triple combination, and then, of course, Jesus the Christ books that I've been trying to do better about reading, but have not done a great job of. On this bottom shelf is a bunch of really miscellaneous stuff. You have the Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire, all 6 volumes by Edward Gibson. You have the Civil War trilogy, and then you have a bunch of random stuff here, including Only Count the Sunny Hours, or I believe that's what it's called, which is like a diary of a woman who ran a whorehouse where I grew up, which is pretty much the only thing about my town that is quote-unquote famous in any way, shape, or form. A few other random books for college and that I had as a young adult. A few mythology-related books that I have read before. And then a few other miscellaneous items as well, including Infinite Jest. Good gracious. Over here we have Jordan Peterson, which isn't necessarily the most popular figure amongst some groups of people, but one that I greatly admire and would like to read someday. Most of the rest of this stack here is just duplicates of other books I already own, or other books that I don't necessarily care a whole lot about, such as Infinity Ring or Beyond Fu, and then a bunch of my very large books that don't fit anywhere else per se, including my complete works of Shakespeare in a very large edition copy that is kind of unwieldy to use, to be honest, and Narnia. And now we start my final collection of bookshelves over here with a couple very large leather-bound and very nice books, one for Edgar Allan Poe and one for H.P. Lovecraft, books that I'm slowly trying to work my way through as time goes on. Over here, we have a little bit of my nonfiction collection, a bunch of reference and writing related stuff for the most part. Moving on over, we have the full Redwall series by Brian Jacques, which I do plan to start this year, although at this point I don't know if I actually will anymore, but I would still like to. Moving over further, we have another one of my favorite series, which is just a duology by John Dixon, being Phoenix Island and Devil's Pocket. I love those books a lot. Andy Weir, of course, is amazing as well. And then we have Ranger's Apprentice, which I think is a great introductory fantasy series for younger readers especially. And then another YA fantasy series that I did start back before my reading slump back in the day, due to depression and other stuff like that. Over here, I just have a couple Robert McCammon books just sitting there because I think they look nice standing up there on their own. Over here, we have a start of what seems a little bit miscellaneous with Apollo 13 and American Psycho and The Card Turner and all that, but it quickly shifts into a pretty stable collection of my Penguin classics, not the deluxe editions, just regular editions, with a couple more classics to boot, organized in as best of a manner as I could based off of how they look. Up over here, we have many random books of other random classics and whatnot going on, arranged again in as good a fashion as I could make them look, in a halfway consistent fashion, going in the blues and purples to all of a sudden a bunch of reds and sort of blacks as well. Over here we have a couple more editions of some Peterson books and some other miscellaneous items as well. My apologies for how close this is. These shelves are right next to my bed, so it's hard to get a good angle from here. And then here we have my only westerns I own, as well as a couple more random mass markets, and then Verne as well, and books that just don't have anywhere else to live, those being Fablehaven. And then up here we have my final set of YA books that I'm very fond of, at least the ones that I have read, those being The Lorien Legacies by Pittacus Lore, as well as a couple other books he has written. Over here, we have the Maze Runner series, a book that I absolutely love. One of my favorite series growing up being the 39 Clues and its sequel series. And then, to follow up, some Star Wars books by Ryder Wyndham, including The Wrath of Darth Maul, which is also one of my favorite books of all time. Great way to end off. So, that was the bookshelf tour. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope that you, got a little bit out of it and, got to see a lot of what I own and the books that I am excited to be able to read at some point, someday, over the years. Plenty of the books that I've owned for a while, but especially a lot of the books that I've purchased for myself over the last year and a half, because I've bought a lot of books. I think my general book buying sprees are mostly going to be on the smaller side from now on, as I try to catch up on what I read rather than just buying a million books every single month. But yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. Let me know what books I have that you think I should try to get to as soon as possible. Don't even mention Infinite Jest or Gravity's Rainbow Patrick. I know you're watching this. Leave me alone. Thank you guys for watching again. I'll be back again on Tuesday for whatever the next video is. I don't have my notes up, so I don't actually know. But thank you guys for watching anyway.